Good afternoon, everyone. I am David Tolo, your MC for today, and I would like to welcome you to UCC BDCI's Conversations for Greatness Expo 2025. We are beyond thrilled to have you join us today. This event is all about igniting innovation, empowering entrepreneurship, and celebrating the incredible talent and ideas within our community. We have an extraordinary showcase planned for you, filled with engaging discussions, networking opportunities, and a platform to showcase innovation at its finest. This is your space to connect, learn, and grow. So let's make it count. If you haven't already, please check in at the registration desk located at the KIB building, which is where we are. It's just on the outside of the lecture theater. Conversations lead to opportunities, and opportunities lead to greatness. Um, we want to take the time out to recognize our amazing sponsors for their support in making today's event possible. A special thank you to the Development Bank of Jamaica, First Global Bank, What's More Concepts, Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, Dancehall Wheat Company Limited, Jamaica Biscuit Company, Wisinco, CALS, and Jamaica Producers. Your contributions are instrumental to the success of Conversations for Greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, we now begin the formal proceedings of the day. Please get well ready for the next chapter of Conversations for Greatness. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce a true visionary leader, Professor Colin Giles, the president of UCC. Professor Giles has consistently championed innovation, entrepreneurship, and excellence. Its insights have inspired many, and today he will help set the tone for the greatness we aim to achieve. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor Colin Giles. Professor Giles, the stage is yours. We eager to hear your reflections as we embark on today's journey of growth, collaboration, and innovation. Professor Colin Giles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tolo. Ladies and gentlemen, all a pleasant good afternoon to you. Both those are joining us in person and online. Good afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and I would just like to start by acknowledging those who have come here today to make this such a wonderful event. This is Tenil Howell Hussey, our manager for the UCC Business Development and Consulting Institute, who has conceptualized this program. We have our panel members, Dr. Kadamawi Naif, economics expert, and others, Mr. Michael Collins, founder and business owner, Ms. Stephanie Shaw, business banking executive from First Global Bank. We have Mr. Giovanni Mannix from the Development Bank of Jamaica, Mr. Wayne Beecher, founder and entrepreneur, Mr. Adrian Dunkley, Mr. Kevin Farquharson, Mr. Akeem Leslie, Miss Akeem Leslie, and others, student representatives. We have our effervescent host for the panel, Miss Kayla Phillips, one of our graduates who continues to excel, specially invited guests and other participants, and of course, our administrative and academic and technical staff. We are here for this very important event that we have labeled Conversations for Greatness. I'm truly excited to see that so many minds are engaged this afternoon as we are gathered here to look at the future and to make our contribution towards greatness and to receive value by sharing with others, hearing from others their own experiences, and seeing how we can work together to achieve that which will redound to the benefit of not just ourselves, but each other as well. I'd like to recognize our staff and students who are here, many of whom are joining us online and those who are here in person. We want to say to you that this experience is one that falls very much in line with the ethos of an institution of higher education. Because when all is said and done, what is knowledge if we are not able to put it in practice for the purpose of advancing us both individually and collectively? UCC is excited to inaugurate this transformative event designed to bring together people from the business community, entrepreneurs, students, and persons who are just excited about the prospects of doing something for themselves. We have had this event, which includes an expo showcasing what others have done and also putting us in touch with those who are able to help to make it happen. And so we are very grateful that we have among our sponsors representatives from the banking sector and representatives from the business sector as well. But as we talk about conversations for greatness, what exactly is greatness? Greatness, as one person says, it's not a destination, but it's a journey. And the implications for us is that we all must be engaged in that conversation as we walk together. There are different types of conversations. We have visionary conversations, the kind that encourages thinking beyond the present and imagining the future, where what we conceive, we can work towards achieving. We have conversations that are authentic and vulnerable, in which barriers are removed and facades are dropped so that our true selves can be revealed. Persons who have gone through the entrepreneurship journey can share with us some of their own experiences, some of their failures, and some of the things that can serve to help others on the journey avoid making some of the mistakes that they would have made. We have conversations that are curiosity driven, the kind that involves engaging those who challenge our thinking and ask questions that just beyond our comfort zones. We have mentorship conversations also. And I'm highlighting these different forms of conversations because all of these conversations are a part of what this forum is intended to expose us to. Of course, with our mentorship conversations, we link persons who are more experienced, who can share and help those who are just beginning the journey to aspire where others would have gone before them. Of course, we also have collaborative conversations. And this is the kind of conversation where like-minded individuals, such as we are today, come together to share our unique ideas and our different perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here and have brought together some of the best experts that we can find in the form of the members of this distinguished panel. And I look forward to you making the best of this opportunity. And so I just want to recognize especially those who have planned this event, Mrs. Tenil Howell Hosty and her team, Mr. Jonathan Grant, one of our business development officers, and other members of the BDCI team, our marketing team, and others who have contributed to this. Development Bank of Jamaica, thank you for being there in supporting the development of our entrepreneurship ecosystem. You have been on board from the very beginning. And I know that many of the successful businesses in Jamaica, they have come about and have developed because of the support that you give to events like this. And so we just want to acknowledge the Development Bank of Jamaica as one of our main sponsors. Godsmore Concepts Limited, First Global Bank, and Dancehall Week Company Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you all a wonderful experience. And in closing, let me say that the pursuit of greatness is a shared endeavor, one that relies on collaboration, inspiration, and a relentless commitment to improvement. I look forward to the rest of the activities. And of course, not to forget, those who are here as young entrepreneurs, your ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be treated to the exciting and innovative thoughts of our young entrepreneurs as they pitch their ideas. I want to wish you success in your presentations also. That out of these conversations, you will find persons who will see value in your business idea, so that not only will you success in the various presentations that you'll make, but it will be the beginning of a good experience for a company that will help to employ others and to give you sustainable wealth. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Giles, for those inspiring words. Your insights remind us of the importance of ambition, resilience, and collaboration in building a brighter future. Now, let's carry this inspiration forward as we dive into today's program. Now it's time to hear from some of the brightest minds in entrepreneurship as we dive into our panel discussion under the theme Igniting Innovation, Empowering Entrepreneurs. This session promised to be thought-provoking, insightful, and full of actionable takeaways. Introducing the panelists, we are honored to have with us Mr. Michael Andre Collins. Mike, apart from being a classmate of mine, is a seasoned professional with over 30 years in the financial services industry and 20 odd years as an entrepreneur. As the CEO of Mac Collins Corp and Upcity Branch Jamaica, he specializes in strategic planning, sales development, and team building. A passionate advocate for youth empowerment and SMEs, he brings a wealth of expertise in business leadership and innovation. Welcome, Michael. We also have Stephanie Shaw. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie Shaw is a business banking executive and has built an impressive career at First Global Bank, starting as a teller after earning her bachelor's degree in banking and finance with a minor in accounting. She has excelled in roles such as customer service representative and business development officer. Known for her dedication and expertise, Ms. Shaw has received numerous accolades, including the prestigious Vice President's Award, reflecting her outstanding performance and commitment to excellence. Welcome, Ms. Shaw. We also have Mr. Wayne. Yeah, you can clap for a man, clap for her. We also have Mr. Wayne Beecher. Wayne is CEO of Ask Catalyst, has over 20 years of experience in entrepreneurship, development, and innovative finance. Formerly with the IDB Lab, he has structured impactful initiatives across the Caribbean. As a certified project management professional, Wayne now leads programs like Founders Institute Jamaica to nurture high potential teachers. Welcome, Wayne. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Kadamawi Knight. Dr. Kadamawi Knight is the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship Thinking and Practice at the UW Mona. With a PhD in sustainable development, his expertise spans entrepreneurship, social innovation, and strategic planning. Dr. Knife has influenced MSME and entrepreneurship policies in Jamaica and is committed to empowering communities through expertise. Welcome, Dr. Knife. We'd also like to welcome Mr. Giovanni Maddox. Giovanni Maddox is a technical officer at the Development Bank of Jamaica, specializing in BIGEE project to foster innovative entrepreneurship systems. A certified business advisor with a strong background in business management, Giovanni is dedicated to supporting institutions that enable entrepreneurs to scale globally. Welcome, Mr. Maddox. So each of our panelists brings a unique perspective and wealth of experience to the table. Our moderator this afternoon, our very own Ms. Kalia Phillips, School of Mathematics, Science and Technology representative, Student Council. Let's give them all a warm welcome. Now, before I turn the floor over to Ms. Phillips, just to remind you, we will be having a question and answer session right after the discussion. So take note of any questions you'd like to ask, and we'll be sure to have them answered right after.
Some great minds. But you know, when you hear the introduction, you have to say a little bit of wow. I am very, very honored and privileged to be speaking with our esteemed panelists today. So let's talk about some greatness because that's what we're here for. And I'd like to go in the direction of the panel. So I'll be starting with you, Ms. Shaw. How has your career progression at First Global Bank influenced your understanding of entrepreneurship in the just on a not only just on a larger scale, but in the Jamaican society?
Okay. Right. Uh, how has my career progression helped me understand entrepreneurship? I would think so. Hello? Right. So I look at my career progression as if it's a form of entrepreneurship. I'm in sales. I have to. So I'm in sales. I know what I have to do to build my brand in sales, to get more business, to earn more money for the company, that is, for other persons to excel. So from an entrepreneurship perspective, like sales, I have to put in the hard work, the late nights. I have to be aggressive. I have to know how I deal with persons so I can generate more for myself. So entrepreneurship is late work, many hours, putting the hard work, treating people well. But then your brand get out there, people start calling you back. Oh, this person refer me to you. Your business, your career growing that essence. Same thing with entrepreneurship. So that's kind of how I think of it.
So it's like it's almost like a mirror,
Right.
a parallel. I like that. I like that. What are some of the most common financial pitfalls that you see new business owners face, and how can they practically avoid them?
All right. So what I see commonly is a lot of persons mismanage their funds, right? They mix their personal funds with their business funds. A lot of them have one account, which is a personal account, operating business funds. So when it comes on to coming to me at the bank and for looking for growth for a loan, it's very hard for me to separate what is your business income, your personal income. Right. So you're spending your personal money for your business, you can't track it. When you come to your accounting, your accountant confused him lost. What is your revenue? What is your actual expenses for the company? It's kind of maddening for the accountant at the end of the year to try to figure it out.
I can only imagine.
And right, they're not keeping the records because everybody's spending from the personal account, the one debit card for everything. It's not an easy process. So what I always suggest for young entrepreneurs, company's office, they give you all the documents required to open a new account. So as you register your company, open an account for your business. Try to pass all the business funds through that business account. Like recording everything, every expense that you have, create an Excel spreadsheet. It's the simplest thing. All the money I spent today for the business, just record it, put a detailed description beside it, so that at the end of the year, when you go to your accountant, when you're ready for the loan, him can say, okay, this was for this, all the revenue earned, all the expenses earned. So on them.
All right, thank you so much. Can you share a personal challenge that you faced in your career and how it has shaped the way that you approach entrepreneurship?
I don't like being told no.
Ooh, I feel that many of us in the audience today can relate to that.
So being told no, it makes me want to find a way to get a yes, right? So you're going to find different loopholes, different ways to get the yes, to get the loan out, the account open. So the same thing with entrepreneurship. You're not gonna take a no. You want your business startup, no, so
Don't take a no. Right.
find a way to make it work. You so that is how, right. So that's how I look on it from entrepreneurship, or to help them. So when they come to me with the process of what they want to do, I have to sit down and find a way to say, okay, how can I help them? What they need to do. Okay, they're not ready for a loan right now. But okay, if you do this for the next year, you can link me again. I can possibly help you back then. Right? So yeah.
I hope that our entrepreneurs take that. Don't take the no. There's one door that closes, another one will open. Right. And finally, for now, how is the digital banking sector transforming the entrepreneurial landscape? How can businesses take advantage of these innovations? Because we understand that we're in the digital age. There's new tech coming out just about every day. And how do entrepreneurs see the train, get on the train before the train leave them?
Okay. Okay. So the digital landscape that we're in right now, especially in 2025, makes it so much easier for an entrepreneur to not even sell locally anymore. They can sell anywhere in the world. They can sell from in Mobay and sell to somebody in Kingston. You have the digital banking, which is e-commerce platforms. You send them a link, they put in a credit card, they put in a debit card information, pay for a good. You no longer have to be going everywhere yourself to be conducting business. The online platforms allow you to even pay your bills quicker, pay a merchant quicker, find new merchants to even save money, right? And it's also allowing for faster ways for payments rather. So that's how you come for the merchant solutions or point of sale machines. You go to an expo like this, you have your MPOS on board, you swipe somebody card, you get your money next day and you have the money to spend. So no longer you have to worry about people not having cash to pay you right now, or you're not in a specific space to get a certain business. You can stay at home, do your business, do online banking and get your money. Yeah.
And our entrepreneurs can come and link you at First Global for some information.
As I mentioned before, companies office give you everything you need to open an account. Once you get your account open, at that point, you can also get the merchant solutions. You get your online bank in one sitting.
Just one day,
Just one day. Just come in
Wow.
one day.
Did not know that actually. All right, thank you, Ms. Shaw. And now on to Mr. Collins. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely wonderful, feeling wonderful being here today.
All right, all right. So I will admit I'm not familiar with MA Collins Group. All right, and Upcity Brands JA. So before we go into the most important lesson that you've learned from founding, could you give myself and our audience just a little backstory into what these companies are, when they've been established, and then we can talk about the lessons that you've learned.
Excellent, because for persons who are here face to face with us in this audience, as well as those online, I think they can gain great insight as to how I did it. So I am an entrepreneur now. So McCollins Corp is one of the companies that I've formed, having left corporate Jamaica as a bank manager as my last
You
stint.
left and succeeded. We like that.
So I left and succeeded. I'm going to be talking about how I actually succeeded in doing this. Then, of course, that's one company. The other company that I've formed is Upcity Brand, which is more of the playful, more open type business, which I'm going to let you know about a little bit more about in the conversation of greatness that we'll be having today.
That is it.
But I also do other things, such as I do vehicle rentals. I'm a communication specialist, so I will, like you, be able to host an event.
All right.
I can plan programs also for events, and that arm of the business comes under Upcity Brands JA. The McCollins Corp is the more corporate of the two.
So the more serious of the twins.
Well, both are serious, but the corporate side that deals with the business development, the marketing strategy, the building out of your business plan, that business consultancy arm of what I do, that takes care of it. And of course, I like to think outside of the box. I like to dare person. So for McCollins Corp, the tagline for that is dare to grow.
And sometimes you do have to dare to grow.
And that's exactly what it is. And just to spin then onto why I became successful in what I do, I did just that. Nike's tagline is just do it.
Just do it.
Now, it's easy for me to say it, and I'm going to tell you why, but for our listeners out there, and we have some entrepreneurs here who will be doing something in the pitch, innovation, it is not necessarily easy for you to be doing it as you want to do it. So it takes some planning. But having gained experience in the corporate Jamaica and having worked by giving what is called sweat equity, meaning you work in areas outside of your scope of job. So I was a bank manager responsible for certain areas, but I worked outside of that deliberately because I knew what my plans are ahead of time. I always have a 5-year plan. Now, what I did was to plan my exit strategy from corporate Jamaica, and that's exactly what I did. All right? Now, all I did was to monetize my passion. I like to help people. And you would have heard Dr. Giles mention, Professor Giles mentioned earlier, that the community forms part of a key area of business. So we must give back to the society. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we have the conversation, but just to be able to plan, monetize your passion, make sure that you record whatever it is that you're doing before you do it, and look at it and tweak whatever it is that while you're doing it, it helps you to become successful in whatever it is that you're doing. But you must have a passion for what it is that you're doing.
So is that the most important lesson? Just having a passion, gaining that drive for whatever your business is in, whatever field or sector you want to break in, having the passion, the daring to grow mentality.
Absolutely. Because if you're not daring yourself, you cannot be connecting with your clients who you want to gain money from. You have to think outside the box, as mentioned before, but you also need to know whom you're trying to sell to whom you're trying to sell. You need to know how you're going to be managing the resources that are given to you, whether it's your own or, as we have our very good friend here from the DBJ and so forth, borrowing money from them. How you're going to be managing that money, you have to plan for that before you even apply for it and even before you begin to use it. So those are some of the primary lessons that I've learned, and the most important lessons that I've learned having before I planned, while planning, and while I started to execute my new businesses.
Got it. Thank you so much. What were some of the key challenges that you would say you faced while balancing the corporate leadership and business ownership? So if you could just provide some differentiation between the two and tell us how you balance both.
All right. In my head, and I know we're speaking with persons of different, to the audience here, with different types of business that they have already started or want to start. It's important for you to not only manage your own business, but to also have a responsibility for externals. So managing corporate leadership, management from a corporate leadership perspective, in my mind, has to do with how your business is going to be helping not only your internal managers, the people who report to you at the strategic level, but how now your company relates to externals, whether it's the company office of Jamaica, which requires you to get registered, for example, or if you have whatever it is that you're doing, you have some external suppliers or governance body.
Testing.
Right. So thank you so much.
Michael, testing and you said it right.
Right. So this is much better. So if it is that you have, I was explaining that from a corporate perspective, leadership perspective, being a CEO and a founder of 2 companies that are formed.
Very successful companies.
Yes. I have to be corporately responsible, if I'll put it that way, to the externals as well. So it's important for you to understand that a business that you operate is within a community. And so you have to be responsible for the community in which you operate. You know, you can't be so it's not just the customers that you sell to. And then internally, from a business ownership perspective, you have to be cognizant of the fact that this business that you have, in order for it to be sustainable, you have to make sure that whatever it is that you plan to do, the purpose of setting up that business, not only for making profit, because that's the main reason, but that you have a responsibility to the persons you serve directly with your products and services, but also by extension to the, like I mentioned before, the community that you serve externally. So it's important for you to understand that challenges will come, but for you to use the means of information that are available to you. So social media is there. Go research. Go. You don't have to be going to the university to be necessarily be an entrepreneur, but resources are there online. Talk to people like us. Network. You know, talk to people, get information from them, ask them how they do it. Just like how the BDCI has put us in. It's important that you seek to get the information by whatever means necessary to overcome those challenges. The answer is there for you. Go seek it.
I'd like you to just say that again for our entrepreneurs. I really like that tagline. The answer is there for you. Go seek it. I like that.
Go seek it. That's it.
All right. How has strategic planning and team building contributed to your success as an entrepreneur?
So there's planning and then there's strategic planning. Strategic planning is really more for the long term. And it's more at my level, the CEO, the founder, you know, how I want my business to be successful and sustainable in the market space.
The 5-year plans you spoke of previously.
5 and even longer than that.
Ooh.
Yeah, because let's backtrack a little bit. So having spent 30 years in the financial services industry, I've gained quite a bit of experience locally and overseas, working for corporate Jamaica, right? Within my company, having learned strategic planning, you know, and so forth, I'm able now to, I would say, cut and paste some of those learning in my business right now. So you want to make sure that you are networking with other entities, your suppliers, your distributors, your customers, and of course, the community in which you operate, right? You want to make sure that you're adding value. We call it the value chain, right? To all stakeholders that relate with your business. So what it means is that it is important for you to constantly make sure that whatever it is that you put in place is sustainable. So let's say I want my business consultancy, which is up McCollins Corp, to continue to grow. I have to make sure that I am knowing whom exactly I need to target, because I'm not the only business consultant around. I need to know what market I need to play. So there's local market, and of course there's the international market, right, Dr. Knife? Right. And right now, and I'm saying this to you as entrepreneurs, the market is worldwide. Do not limit yourself. So strategically, you have to use the tools that are available to you. For example, as my good friend here, Michelle of the bank mentioned, using the online platforms. So e-commerce is something that is important, and we probably will hear a little bit more about that from my good friend there. And so you need to understand that you can stay here in Jamaica and sell anywhere in the world. For crying out loud, we are doing a seminar and it's online. So this information is being recorded now, and this information can be accessed for years to come. So persons should be able to utilize strategically material that's online, material that is already done, as well as to inform themselves as to how to use other people's examples to improve whatever strategy that they need to put in place for themselves and their companies. And as it relates to team building, once you've put the strategic plans in place and get the right talent around you, you should be successful in building out your team. That's the people, all right? And of course, with the people around you, you'd also want to make sure that you get the right resources that fit your particular business. So you need to be clinical about what it is that you do. But again, the information is out there, go seek it.
So something that I've heard just in your vocabulary and what you've been expressing thus far is the importance that community plays in business success. How have you empowered youth and fellow SMEs, through your business initiatives?
Excellent. I'm happy that you asked a question because the community, as mentioned before, and the business, they work hand in hand. They are symbiotic. They cannot work just by themselves. Just, you can't just have a business and forget about waste management. You can't forget that the people who are around you in let's say you have a physical location, that they too must be benefiting in their community from your business. And that's the mistake a lot of persons make. And that's part of why, believe it or not, as the statistics show, that's part of why, not the only reason, but part of why 9 out of 10 businesses statistically, not sure if that's still the statistics, fail within the first year or so of operations, because people have great ideas, have good products, but you want to sell and you want to do this. But if the people around you don't feel that you're actually helping them, then you can actually fail because of that, because they will block you, right? And remember, now when we're talking about the community is not just necessarily your local, but it's international. You have to be responsible and show that you're responsible. Demonstrate it, that you're responsible to the community internationally. And as it relates to SMEs, my passion is actually helping young people in particular, but not only young people, but micro, small, and medium enterprises to grow. And that's been my success area, which is one of the reasons why I, in the other half of my life, have switched from corporate Jamaica to then spend my time in dealing with these persons. And therefore, I believe that with the advent of my companies and who I am, because you cannot forget, Dr. Knife, that your person, who you are, forms part of you. It is your brand. So it's not just having the knowledge, but you have to be responsible in all aspects of your life now, because all eyes are on you. Because once I see McCollins Corp, or once I see Upside the Brand, or any of the other companies which I'll be forming this year, by the way, because I've been successful, once I see those, they will see me, and that's what it represents. So it's been quite a bit of a journey, and I'll encourage you, ladies and gentlemen out there, right in front of me, as those online, to take heed of the rest of the conversation that we'll be having, because you need to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, you hold conversations of greatness for innovative sustainability.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I don't know about anyone else, but can you feel the greatness in the room? Right. All right. Now, I'd like to hopefully help. I'd like your help here with just the correct pronunciation of your name, the Dr. Knife. All right. All right. Just cut to the chase. All right.
Earlier, before you proceed, just know that that's a very great man you're about to talk to. That's Dr. Kadamawi Knifing. Know yourself, Kayla. You're chartering some very, very dangerous territories right now.
And you see, that's why I like the little danger.
No, miss. No, little danger. This is danger.
Well, I have been told I've been fearless before, so let's put that to the test. Dr. Knife, can you share a case study in which a successful social innovation project and the measurable impact it had on the community?
All right. Speaking most about social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship, explain first. Social entrepreneurship is really a process of creating value, but not in the traditional sense of the strict economic value. It's about economic, social, cultural, and environmental value, which means measuring is different from traditional measurement. So in the traditional approach, you look at a rate of return on investment for regular businesses in terms of economic value creation. For social impact innovation, you have to look at the social rate of return on investment. And that means monetizing the value creation in terms of the social value, the economic, the cultural, and environmental. Now, Jamaica is a country where we keep somewhat secret because we have so many of those things that are happening that have been having significant impact. Yes, from the Community Empowerment and Transformation Program, which is Commit 2, we have done about 25 social rate of return on investment assessments for those organizations, and all of them came out being very positive. The Digital Foundation have also financed over the last 20 years, spent $47 million building out social enterprises, and we have done a lot of those SRYs for them as well. NHT. Some of them might come to mind, which we might know of, would be like a life yard. And when we use a life yard is something being done by South. They are the ones who started the painting of murals across communities, which has now been adopted by Kingston creatives. And while a life yard might not have gotten a $1 million grant from an IDB, like a Kingston creative, they are the foundation for those programs. As a matter of fact, that program has been adopted as well by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sports, where they're thinking about doing all these murals across Kingston because Kingston has been designated as this music capital in the world. Yes? But note, while we can see those elements easily from a life yard, what they might not have seen though are there are subtle things where they have these programs that target young persons who we claim to be at risk. I'm using the word claim, at risk of become a victim of crime or become a perpetrator of a crime. And by engaging these young persons, they're not only creating value, but they're also creating savings for the country. What do I mean by that? If one of those young persons was to become a victim of crime or a perpetrator of crime and end up in prison, you have to ask yourself, what is the cost of maintaining a young person in prison? Which is 1.3 to 1.5 million Jamaican dollars. It's actually full economic cost of sending a youth to a university like UWI. Yes?
Or
So,
UCC.
well, I'm saying, because I know the cost of you is 1.5, you know, and I'm saying we don't give students a scholarship, a full scholarship to go to UA of 1.5, but give them a full scholarship of going to prison of 1.5. Yes? So the savings of these programs are phenomenal, but you have not done so. The success of these measurement indices have led to a number of things. One, it has led to the formation of the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, which is the only social stock exchange in the English-speaking Caribbean. It has also led to the formulation now of a social enterprise legislation, which will be enacted quite soon, which will recognize social enterprises as legitimate businesses in Jamaica. Again, we're leading these things across, not only Jamaica, but across the British Commonwealth. And what we have found is that when we examine other jurisdictions, Jamaica tends to be way ahead of many of these countries in terms of impact measurement. What is also being done now is that the plans of Jamaica, we're helping them to create a broader framework to show how is it that those who operate in the social services sector or the solitary economy is contributing to the GDP of the country. In essence, what we are saying is that we need to shift our mindset from seeing the social services sector as a voluntary, not-for-profit sector. No, you're a social investor. So when my brother invests his time in supporting young people in the community, yes, it means you're expecting a rate of return on that investment. It might not be in terms of cash money, but that feel good might be something. The goodwill for your company might be something as well. So we have done significant amount of work, and there are numerous examples. I could give you tons of those, but we don't have time to speak about tons of those examples.
All right. Thank you so much. What are some common challenges that are faced by micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Jamaica that you've seen and the Caribbean at large? And how can they be addressed? And even though it's not placed here, I want to focus on sort of the governmental aspect. I think a lot of the panels, oftentimes we speak on what entrepreneurs can do, you know, speak to a Ms. Shaw, talk to M.A. Collins Corp. What can the government with legislation and processes do to help the challenges faced by these enterprises?
I got a chance to write the last two MSME policies, one in 2018 and the current one. And so we can speak about numerous challenges, but I want to speak about critical emerging challenge. And the main one would have been digital literacy. And why digital literacy? Because we are speaking about Generation Z, the I generation, the generation that isn't born with full access to information in our world where the landscape has changed. It's a global market space. And therefore, the digital platform is going to determine how you will engage that kind of global market space and your ability to scale. Now, if you're not digital literate, you know what it's going to lead to? Digital poverty. Because somebody who have a full access, digital literacy to speak with the ability to access information when you want, how you want, and where you want. And the availability of a platform doesn't necessarily mean accessibility, you know, because if you do not know how to use it, you cannot access it. But how many of us really do know how to use it? As a matter of fact, I will argue that the most digital literate cohort of young persons now who work in a group are scammers. Scammers, because all the operation is on a digital platform and they're extremely good at it. That's why their business is so successful. As a matter of fact, that's the reason they are caught at a time, because they do very good data mining. And the police is able to go into the operations and say, okay, you have been scamming people for the last 10 years. How many MSMEs you can go and find records dating back to the last 10 years? In regular MSMEs, you don't find that kind of thing. So the digital literacy, of course, you know about financial literacy, and of course, entrepreneurial literacy are concerns. I have a regular issue about getting access to financing, which is not the major problem or resources. Now the state, this is where the state comes in. We have written real good policies. But then when I write a policy for the ministry is now saying to me, now we need now to go and find the money to implement the policy. What then is the function of the Ministry of Finance? If we argue that MSMEs are the backbone and engine of growth for our society, and you have written a policy for the MSME and entrepreneurial space, you do not need to go and find the money. That money should have been exactly. So I find, and this is what the reality is across both political parties, we have conservative, neoliberalist philosophies, which suggests that you do not need to change the status quo to make advances. Now I embrace the plantation economy, so we need to destroy the plantation system. And entrepreneurship by nature is disruptive. So the expectation is that an entrepreneur is not going to fall in line with what exists. But our objective is to mash down that thing because it is not actually working. So the state needs to stop, be dependent upon our partners for funding and start to put your money in the system to support the programs. We find too many excuses. As a matter of fact, we are more quicker to offer incentives to foreign direct investors than we are to offer to MSMEs. And we know that foreign direct investment money doesn't stay in Jamaica. The leakage is phenomenally high. The only way you can endogenize growth is by supporting MSMEs. So those guys in Parliament need to rethink what I'm actually doing. And the Minister of Finance in particular, if you start out what I'm starting out in that ministry.
Here for no, sir. Thank you, though.
I didn't want to, Kayla, you're chatting some dangerous territories. Good territories, man. I felt like I was just in a lecture a while ago. No,
I think
seriously, don't get
Mr.
that.
Collins did speak about the information dissemination and how the answer is out there and seek it. This is a part of the seeking process. I am just helping. All right. So
It was a free lecture.
so someone had spoken a little bit earlier on strategic planning.
Yes.
And I want to ask you to specialize now in how it plays a role in sustainable development, especially for marginalized groups.
All right. Strategic plan. What my specialization is actually in long-term dynamic strategic plan techniques, which is foresighting and scenario planning. But I did my PhD work in
Excuse me, sir.
foresighting and
Thank you.
scenario planning. If you look at Vision 2030, Vision 2030 is based upon a long-term dynamic strategic planning technique. That's what it's supposed to be based upon. And you have to take in consideration internal and external factors. But the sustainable development framework means that you have to speak about those 4 quadrants again. economic, social, cultural, and environmental. Our 4 goals actually speak to those things now. Goal number 1, that all Jamaicans are empowered to achieve their fullest potential. Number 2, that the society is cohesive and just. Number 3, that the economy is prosperous. And number 4, that the environment is sustained. So I have those. We have an extremely good plan. We also have this called medium-term socio-economic framework to support the implementation of the plan. When you go down now on the ground, the institutions that are supposed to aid these entities don't have any funding. So at JBDC, don't have no money. SRC, don't have any money. Bureau of Standards Jamaica, don't have any money. All the entities that deal with the environment don't have any money, so they're thinking about getting funding from some external institution. Everyone for places like the IDB and the CDB and other places, we don't have any money being spent on those elements. So Jamaica really don't have much problem, you know, except in Parliament. That is where the ignorance lies, because they don't understand. They don't even listen to the people who work in the ministries. So it's not a major problem to resolve. But if you offer yourself to serve a population, the first thing about service is to learn to listen. And you're not listening. And that's why it seems like we have all of these different challenges in the country, but we do have so much of those. It's not something which is hard to address. Yes? So strategic planning is crucial. And when we speak about inclusivity, these are not just words that's supposed to be used. And we talk about mainstreaming the most, all these are the points that I just wrote, you know. How do we mainstream the most vulnerable across gender, youth, people with special needs, and climate change? How do we do issues relating to the orange, blue, green, and the silver economy and social and senior entrepreneurship? Silver economy means providing goods and services for a person above the age of 50. Of course, that came out of Europe, because when you reach 50 in Europe, is an old person. When you're 50 in the Caribbean, you're still a young person. But they think about these kinds of things. We don't even mention nano enterprises. So we have to put in it nano enterprises, which are enterprises that are smaller than micro enterprises. So I'm saying we have really good policies, but I think we have really backward ministers. Really backward. And terms of Knife said that, man, you don't have to worry about it.
All right. Well, you know what, Dr. Knife, I will admit you were, I'm very sorry, guys, but you were the person that I was looking most forward to have on the panel today, simply because your authenticity, I believe, is what is needed in the entrepreneurial sector. I mean, it is all good and nice to speak about our challenges, to go about the nice, I like to say the corporate way of dealing with it. But sometimes you need a man on the ground. Sometimes you need to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will. All right. And so our final question for you is, what trends do you see in the entrepreneurship sector that present opportunities for growth and resilience in the Caribbean region?
Right now, the globe is open. All right. It's anytime you see a lot of problems, entrepreneurs don't see problems. A problem is an unfulfilled need, and therefore provide a good and service to satisfy that need. So the more problems they think you have, the more opportunities they have. But then if I understand the broad space, again, we mentioned the orange economy, which is the culture and the creative industry. We know that Jamaica and the Caribbean is like a cultural superstate. Our cultural footprint is phenomenally large.
That is true.
Then you have the blue economy. We're islands. We're surrounded by the ocean. The amount of opportunities that are within that kind of thing in terms of the technology, but also level surrounding those things is great. Green economy, land-based production, but also land-based technology. We're not short of those things. And of course, I mentioned the silver and senior entrepreneurship. And remember, I know you're speaking about the Caribbean. There's a very unique space. There's no other space on the globe like the Caribbean. We have a certain kind of tobacco. We have mainland spaces. So that's about Belize and Suriname and Guyana, which can do any kind of major productive thing that you want. And of course, what's happening in Guyana? You have mountainous islands like a Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, you know, a Montserrat, etc., which can plant a certain kind of things and engage in certain production. Then you have the flat islands like a Barbados, a Anguilla, or Antigua, etc. So when you look at our 14 territories like Jamaica with 14 parishes, but if, let me say, this is the final thing.
Wow.
Enslaved mind can't serve free people. And the people who are strategizing are still embedded in a kind of colonial mindset. Even when the opportunity is front of you, them don't see it. That's how we know in the abundance of water. The food is thirsty, and Jamaica is a land of food and water. We're not supposed to be thirsty, but we're still thirsty.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. All right, but and so you say, so you know, just to recap, the major thing is that where there is problem, it is not a problem, but more so a need went unfulfilled.
It's an opportunity, yes.
An opportunity. So I'd like for us to take that away from Dr. Knife. Well, there has been many things that we can take away thus far in the panel, but let's not look at our problems just as problems, but rather an unfulfilled need. And going back to what Ms. Shaw said, don't take no. Don't take a no. All right. And so we're going on to Mr. Maddox. Hi, sir. I saw you dodging the hand. All right. So I'd like you to, when I was working at the Business Development and Consulting Institute here at UCC, one of the projects that I had briefly made contact with was the Biggie project. And so for our entrepreneurs in the room and online, I'd like you to first do a little introduction to this project for those who may not have heard that information. And I'd like you to explain what role it plays in fostering innovative entrepreneurship ecosystems and how our entrepreneurs can benefit from this project.
All right, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So Biggie means boosting innovative entrepreneurship, boosting innovative entrepreneurship ecosystems. I think the G has to do with growth. I soon remember and tell you that. So the aim of Biggie is to promote growth within the entrepreneurship space locally. And we do that in two ways. So we offer grants and we offer capacity development. So we offer grants to entrepreneurs, but we also offer grants to those who work with entrepreneurs. And we offer also grants for people that are in innovation. So if you're working on a research or you're working on a patent and you want to file a patent, and the Biggie program has a facility where you can actually get a grant to file that patent, right? So in short, the Biggie project is here to provide funding and capacity development for entrepreneurs, for innovative entrepreneurs, and those centers that work and builds those entrepreneurs in a very short way.
Though it's not on the question, I am inspired by Dr. Knife's earlier comments about social innovation. Right. Does the Biggie project facilitate that sort of out of the cookie cutter mold type innovation, daring to upset the status quo type innovation?
Well, definitely. Because, for instance, or Ignite grant, there has to be innovation a part of it. Like you cannot get an Ignite grant by simply having a retail business, right? Whatever it is that you're doing. And when we say innovation, it don't mean it have to be brand spanking new. We're not saying that you have to come with another Google. No, right? But there needs to be something innovative either in the delivery of the business or in the actual execution of the product. So innovation can be the actual service, or innovation can be in the business model of how the service or product is being delivered. And those are the type of projects that we tend to support.
All right, I like the sound of that. What advice do you, having worked in the industry for so long, what advice do you have for first-time entrepreneurs launching their businesses in very competitive markets?
Well, everybody looked at me, that's a snap back at me. Well, the first thing is, and this is something I have applied personally, we have to learn to run lean, right? And so concepts around the business model canvas are very helpful. Traditionally, when we think about starting a new business project, we think about the amount of money we need. We think about the people we need to sell to. We try to have these elaborate plans of how we need to execute the business. But I would encourage us to first start thinking of small, simple, inexpensive ways to validate your ideas, right? That's the first thing. Start thinking about small, inexpensive ways to validate your idea. Once you find these small, inexpensive ways and you're getting some traction, try to develop some sort of a prototype, something that somebody can interact with, right? Now, when you have a prototype or an MVP is a fancy word for it, right? It becomes much easier for you to get real raw feedback from the market, right? So I would say those are some quick and easy ways to start getting testing for your business. When you have this feedback, this prototype, this feedback for your business, it's a little easier to raise funding or to get interest in your business idea and your project.
Something I'd also like to speak to you about, or rather I'd like you to speak about, is the differentiation from other products on the market. So I know that it's not exactly on the paper,
Right.
but I feel like a man of your caliber.
Differentiation.
Right.
Repeat the question for me again.
So the question is, how do these entrepreneurs differentiate their product or services from the existing ones in the market?
Well, the first thing to understand is having an understanding of a business model or the frame for which you're going to be delivering the business is very important. The second thing is having a deeper understanding of the problems that people are facing and having an understanding of the products and services that you have that you're going to solve the problem with. So when you have when you're able to break down your business into various components, it becomes easier to differentiate. So let's say, for instance, I see we have a designer, a tailor, right? Now, there are different businesses that do fashion design, right? So one of the ways to innovate it, and there are different models of innovation, right? If you're in Dr. Knife's class, you learn about different ways that you can innovate, different models of innovation. You can innovate on the service, as in the time it takes for you to deliver the goods. You can innovate on how you deal with the customers. So you can have either a Dulux bespoke approach. So every customer get a black, somebody comes in a suit and delivers the product to the customer, right? So those are some ways that we can start thinking about differentiating the product. And entrepreneurship is such a lovely space in that you can be selling something very similar to somebody else, but just your personality, your approach, right? How it is you package and deliver your goods, the efficiency in which you conduct the business are some key things to differentiate yourself from somebody else.
So I like that. I like that because, you know, the customer service problem in this society is terrible.
Welcome to Shamrock.
Welcome to the land of wood and water. But I do like that perspective of innovation does not have to be the new Google,
Right.
as you called it. It doesn't have to be big and brazen and audacious. It just needs to be a little different from what is already out there. I like that.
Right.
What strategies can entrepreneurs use to overcome resource constraints and scale their businesses effectively for the global market?
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna piggyback on an answer I gave earlier. So I spoke about running lean, right? The second thing to consider is there are different crowdfunding platforms that you can utilize, right? The third thing I want to put out there is that there's a lot more business competitions than before, and especially in an academic space. If you're an entrepreneur within a university, there's actually a lot more opportunities for you to actually enter competitions. First Heritage Credit Union actually, and yes, I actually won that competition back in school. Yes, I did. Right, now it was reminded me about it. Right, and right. So I would say, all right, so I'll give you an insight. When I was leaving, so I'm sitting beside Knife. Knife was actually my lecturer in school. See, dead serious, right? And right. So I would say the first thing to do is, as an entrepreneur looking to launch a business, you need to create a spreadsheet. You need to get a book. You need to write down all the business competitions that you have out there. Any bank, any credit union that has a foundation, make a note of them, right? Because most of these banks and credit unions that have foundations, usually either they're going to have some kind of innovation challenge at some point that they're going to offer some sort of funding for startups. So that's the first thing. Make a list of all the competitions and funds and grants you can find. Second thing is, you need to have a 3-minute pitch, right? So
3 days?
3 minute.
3 minutes.
3-minute
okay.
pitch. A 3-minute pitch, as in you pitch your business concept. If you have numbers, the traction, you pitch that. If your customers, right, you need to have that to pitch that in 3 minutes. Then you have a 5-minute pitch or a 5-minute presentation, and then you have a 10-minute presentation. And you work on either you work on a business model, right? Or you work on some kind of summary of a business plan or business proposal. You need to have a toolkit. And you get that toolkit together, right? You go to a place like BDCI, right? And you get them to help you to work on this, and you hit those competitions, right? That's one way to approach it.
You offer pitching classes here at the UCC BDCI, so feel free to reach out. All right, and so I feel I do want to. Our final question for you is how does technology transfer and innovation management play a role in today's entrepreneurial ecosystem? I know that we've been setting a bit of the tone for that regarding the digital landscape, because in this day and age, you really can't get away from tech. So comment on that for us, please.
So, I mean, technology transfer is such a fancy way to say it. So let's break it down a bit. So everybody know Gatorade? Right. So Gatorade begun as a research project in a university, right? So either students or the professors came together and they started doing testing on products that could put back salts or electrolytes in the body. And that was how Gatorade started. So the fancy or technology transfer is simply just the way in which we commercialize or make a business out of academic research and studies. And the question was, what's the role that it plays in today's entrepreneurial ecosystem? Yes. So the two ways is that one, it allows for a greater level of innovation to exist in the market, right? And it allows for greater variation and specialization and distinction from the competitors in the market. So with tech transfer, you will have a greater level of innovation, and you'll have a greater level of specialization and distinction from other products in the market because of the type of science and innovation that's going into the research to produce these types of products.
No, I know that I did say that was my last question, but you have piqued my interest with the use of a certain terminology. What do you mean by run lean? Because I mean,
okay,
you got drop or
run lean. All right, when I say run lean, so all right, to give an example. So all right, so let me use myself. I started a business with making whiteboards from paper and plastic materials, right? So you could unroll it, roll it up, use tape and tape it on a wall, stuff like that. So thanks. So one of the ways, so a very lean way I did research and design. When I mean lean, I mean efficient, right? When I mean lean, I mean efficient, right? So an easy way I tested this idea was I got cellophane, you know, the wrapping paper that I used to make baskets. So I got some of that and I taped it to a wall and I just wrote on the paper on the wall. And I said, oh, so there's material that can work as a whiteboard surface. And I don't need a whiteboard. I need to find the surface. So that's what I mean by running lean. So I found a very efficient way to test an idea I had in my head, right? And I spent less than $500 to get a roll of that cellophane material, right? So that's what I mean by running lean. So you have an idea in your head, and there are two ways to do it. You have the formal, expensive way, and there's some inexpensive, cheaper way that you can test that hypothesis. That's what I mean by running lean.
Not running so that we can drop, guys. Lovely. No. All right.
Not running lean.
Not that lean. Okay, thank you so much, sir. And now we are on to our final panelist for today, Mr. Beecher. All right, let's start out with why is blending strategy, design, and technology so crucial for building impactful businesses in today's society?
Thank you for having me, guys. It's been a long run to get here. So we're talking about impactful business. What I'm talking about are business similar to the social enterprise businesses. These are businesses that can impact an area that has a great development challenge. So it's like a social enterprise, but it it is actually applying a fully commercial and competitive model to an area that represents a development challenge. So like, for example, affordable housing, you're going to be creating a lean business model to respond to a problem in that area, but you're running it as a lean, efficient corporate enterprise, right? So to do that is very difficult because these problems have been left unattended for years. What strategy does is to assist you in understanding the problem in that space and to crafting a positioning strategy or positioning in that space to be competitive. Now, in an unintended space, like, I know you guys are bankers and I was a banker, but it's still a big problem in terms of, financial inclusion and digital inclusion. That's a large unattended space. So the initial responsibility to offer a mobile wallet, right? And then people come, but they don't, right? So we could go through 4 or 5 mobile payment platforms that have started and failed because they didn't use the right positioning strategy. Once you understand the needs of the customer in that space, and you're going to know respond with a product or service, it's important it is designed to meet to create a solution to the problem that the market has. And it must be a defined problem. So you're looking at trying to get product market fit in the design of your offering in that space. And it must offer it at a tremendous value. So that is the strategy design part of it. Now, to execute the strategy, you have to be very lean and efficient. And to be efficient, you need technology in this day and age. Why these problems have been left unattended for years is that to build a house or to create a financial solution or to solve climate change problems in the past would have been very expensive. But the technology, due to the scaling effect, are now becoming so cheap, so affordable. If I was creating a mobile wallet product in, say, 2010, it would cost me $50 million and a year and a half in research and development, right? If I was creating a digital marketplace, 5 years ago, it would cost me 25 million, and I'm talking US dollars, right? Tons of research, yes. And you'd have to have a server farm by yourself. No. Now you have cloud computing. You have that, that can host your solution for you at a marginal cost. You have AI agents that can write the code for you, so you don't even need to code anymore. And then you can use AI agents and digital platforms to reach customers anywhere in the world and serve them. So that's where the technology comes. Your technology is really your execution engine and not so much your strategy. The strategy is a human element that helps you to understand the customer needs and design a product to solve a problem at a deeper level.
Okay, thank you so much. What are the key elements of a successful business launch, and how have you supported ventures through programs like the Founders Institute of Jamaica? So if you could just give us a little background on the Founders Institute of Jamaica and then go forth to answer the question.
Sure. Founders Institute is the largest pre-seed accelerator in the world. It's based in Silicon Valley. In partnership with UCC, we brought it to Jamaica a couple of years ago. We have done a couple of cohorts here in Jamaica and one in Bermuda. And so it's really like an incubator accelerator program. And it embodies all the principles that all the other panelists speaks about: lean startup methodology, business model design, go-to-market and strategic fit, and the use of technology. So it's primarily a technology-driven incubator accelerator program. Launching, it has been said by most of the panelists here, but the critical element of launching any successful business is to identify a market, a large enough market with a problem that needs to be solved, and to create a product that fits, create a solution for the customers in that segment. It's important that you get the strategic positioning right, as I spoke about a while ago, but also it's important that you have what is called good distribution channels. Channels is a part of the business model. Unless you can get to the customer and communicate your sales pitch to them and then get them to purchase, you're not going to be successful, because all successful businesses rely on a customer, spending their money with you, and you're collecting a revenue. So it's important that you get your channel strategy right. And in this age, you have to make sure your digital strategy is on par.
My apologies. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are seeking to scale their businesses regionally, in the Caribbean or globally, like to the other side of the world?
Well, it's not so easy, but it's possible, right? I've known of strong national companies that have gone overseas and failed and had to come back home, right? So it's not easy. And that would have been 10 years ago, but no, it's more accessible because of the technology platforms available. Like in any market, you're launching a product in any market, you have to understand the market, send you deep market insight so you can formulate your strategy and define your positioning in that market. So you have to have access to information in these markets. You can do it digitally. Sometimes if the market is not so developed, then you need a partner in that market to assist in your research and development. I mean, talking about idle resources, I think one of the idle resources, going to Knife's point, that we have are the proliferation of the high commissions that we have across the world. Those could be, satellites for gaining market insights that we could leverage, but we're not leveraging that. So any market you go in, you have the high commission or embassy, and you should seek to get information through that channel. Yeah. And then once you identify and got the information, you do your strategic positioning and so on, you then no need to establish a foothold in the market, right? And to do that, you have to get your business model right. You're either going to do a distribution model or a franchise model, or you're going to go there and actually set up shop yourself. So that is defined, that decision is determined by the level of resources you have at your disposal, because the enter market can be expensive if you're going to go there yourself to establish an office and then to get to understand the market. But you could always franchise your business model, perfect your foundation here in a market you know and understand, document every aspect of the business so the business become a system and the business itself is a product that you're now selling. Yeah. And then you export that product, which is your business, to other markets by recruiting franchisees.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So to my fourth question, and this is dipping into Dr. Knife's area. Why is social entrepreneurship critical for driving sustainable development, and how can businesses embrace it?
Boy, Knife, you have a converted, Yeah. You call it social, I call it impact, right? But when you look at the number of challenges that faces us just in Jamaica alone, right? And you say you want to create a successful market. If you want a successful business, sorry. If you're looking for successful business, you're looking for big markets that's inefficient, unattended, have problems that people need to solve. And then your business done, you're done, right? You don't do anything. You just find the right solution and you drop it in that market and you have customers coming to you nonstop. So for me, and I'm now an entrepreneur. I don't know why Knife keep looking at me and say IDB. I left IDB about 4 years ago, right? I'm now an entrepreneur, right? So I understand the pain of entrepreneurship. And so in order to take this journey, you really want to be doing something meaningful. You don't want to waste the time. You can if you want to make a secure income, stay in a job. It's best. If you want to make a meaningful change, pursue a business, but pursue a business that has meaningful intent and purpose, right? And for me, if you can create a business that can solve any of our development challenges, we have crime, we have social inclusion, we have financial inclusion, digital inclusion. We're in the middle of a housing crisis. And you see, they're all connected, All of these problems are connected. So if you solve one, you start to have a domino effect. If you solve the housing problem, people stop, squatting, and the squatting creates a level of informality, and it's difficult to police in those areas, and they have to bleach at night to wait for a space on a bed, and then they get up grumpy, and they can't control their emotion, and so they respond in a way that is not productive, domestic violence, they abuse a child and the child come up and repeat the cycle. It's just all connected. They want to start a business, they can't access financing, and so they resort to unethical practices, and thus one bad decision lead to the next, to the next, to the next. So it's all connected. So if you're going to pursue a mission that solves a big problem, it has to be a social or an impact business. So, and it can be profitable. It can, and it's going to be profitable. But more than profitable, it's going to be meaningful and satisfying to you.
Okay.
If you look at the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and again, look at the Vision 2030. You cannot attain the SDGs without having an impact or social component in your business. You have zero hunger, zero poverty, access to clean water and sanitation, access to education, gender mainstream. The market don't provide those things. The traditional market don't provide those things, yes? So unless we have that built in, and that's why people now talking about this ESG, environmental and social governance, so creating a fancy word to say to traditional business that they need to incorporate these things. But remember, people's philosophy shifting globally. This generation of youths are born in a situation that recognize that inclusivity is the best approach. So what we're trying to do now is to convince people from my generation or analog brain that we should adopt these things. But there's no problem with these young people. Every time they create a business, there's some kind of social innovation embedded within the business. So we don't have to really fret, We just hope that some of us transfer the powers to the new generation of youth faster.
Mr. Collins, go ahead.
Which also brings me to the point, and it seems to be tying up what I had said earlier about the inclusion. The conversation of greatness is what we're talking about. And it's not just to talk about it, but what makes you successful. So in addition, well, we are entrepreneurs and we've launched to that. He teaches that. He's been delving into that most of his life. And we have the facilitators, of course, through the financial institutions represented here for especially the financial arm or the financial resources to support that element of the factors of production, right? But I want to say that what we've come full circle around, and as Professor Giles mentioned in his greetings, is the inclusion of the community. The community therefore becomes so important. The social environment that we're talking about becomes critical. So it doesn't make sense, for example, my good friend here to be making his lovely tailored suits, but at the same time, he doesn't contribute in some way, shape, or form to the social wills, or positioning of his product, of his brand, even how he manages, distribution and so forth, including, of course, feedback from his clients. So people want to know that your organization is ethical, meaning you say, this is 100% cotton, and it comes from Africa. Let's say that's your niche. Maybe your clear difference, as you spoke about. What's different about your making? Your clothes could be saying, all right, I'm supporting the our people by having certain material that is good for our climate and certain climates across the world. And these materials come from, let's say, Africa. I'm just giving an example here. They want to know that from an ethical perspective, your business is growing so much that, boy, you really can't get your goods from Africa. You start just get it from other places. And people find out, because we live in a digital space where information is there at your fingertips, your brand can just be killed overnight when people find out that you're getting your material from elsewhere and that what you've sold is not authentic. So with that example, persons want to know that they're safe in consuming your product. So whatever it is that you put on your labels, and labeling is important. Only on the product, but on your site, that's your social media handles or your talks and so forth. Talk about what you have in your product that is authentic. People also want to, so safety becomes an issue. in consumption, but people also want to know that you are, it's a growing thing now where people want to know that from an environmental perspective, you are contributing to protecting that. So where do you dump the cuttings, for example, for your suits and the threads and the, those things and those waste material? How do you dispose of it? If you, for example, were to spin your waste into making another product, which is another product line, and and especially if you were to do it, give away some foundation to some place or source. For example, your waste material start waste. Let's say you are, and we talked about measurement earlier. Let's say your product, you're wasting material of every suit you make, the material you buy, 10% is wasted in cuttings. That 10% can be converted into making, say, and I'm just throwing out an idea, suits that you can say, or bags, or children's clothes, or whatever it is, something else that you can give away to something that your customers are concerned about, whether it's to needy people, maybe you are looking at persons who are going to look for a job, or persons who are fashionistas, or so forth. You can therefore contribute that and give it away. You have to make your people that you serve in the community, bearing in mind community is not where you live or the physical space that you operate from, but it's now global, that they feel safe from a social perspective, that they feel that you are contributing to their lives and the value that they represent.
All right, so before I properly hand over to Mr. Tolo, I'd like all of us, both here and online, just the final words from just everyone on the panel. Remember, Ms. Shaw's, don't take a no. Remember, Mr. Collins, find passion in what you do. Remember, Dr. Knives, find educate yourself in the digital literacy and the financial literacy space. Remember, Mr. Maddox, run lean. Remember, Mr. Beecher, pursue something meaningful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your conversation for greatness. Thank you.
Actually, it wasn't the conversation for greatness because now we're opening the floor for question and answers. So this is the time we want to thank the panelists very much for their wonderful insights and encouragement. No, don't leave. It's here. The question and answer is going to be right here, right now. So you, our audience, you have questions. Now is the time to ask them. Don't hold back. You have a wealth of knowledge in front of you. Make use of it. Where the first question is coming from?
Maybe I said opportunity just to, because I was asked what Biggie means, so I kind of fluffed it a bit. So let me just my employees will not be happy. So it's boosting innovation and growth. It's boosting innovation and growth in entrepreneurial ecosystems.
Sir, I just wanted to know when is the Ignite program going to start back?
That's a very good question. So currently the Ignite program. Okay, so the question is, when is the Ignite program going to be restarted or reopened? So the Ignite program is a grant that Biggie has, which there are two windows. So just to give you a background, there's a 3 million window and a 7 million window. So there's an ideation component or a commercialization component. We are still in the middle of executing the grant, as in there are still persons who are dispersing funds too. And that should come to an end by the middle of this year. No, unfortunately, Biggie is a 5-year project between the government of Jamaica and the IDB, right? It's housed at the DBJ. So yes, IDB. So it's very difficult for me to say when the new iteration will come on board. It could be next year, but I don't want to. I can't give a definite answer just now.
All right, so don't lock yourself Do not lock yourself in Jamaica. Look at the CD and other places, man. There are so many opportunities out there, but we're just not aware, which is part of the challenge. We find that a lot of us in the entrepreneurship space, we don't know what exists out there. And that is part of all trying to look at it in the sense that as people who operate in institutions, they do have a platform where they can really go and just speak and say, okay, these are the programs. Yes, but there's an entity it's called Caribbean, it's Caribbean Export. When you go to Caribbean Export site, you can see all different incentives that are offered by every country for people in businesses, you know? So I think that information dissemination of that platform is going to be very crucial. And since you in that closing, this thing about innovation, something I want you to really take into consideration. So climate change is going to impact the thing that you wear. Yes, how climate change is going to impact the clothes that you wear. So for example, we know that as the increase in temperature, persons are going to get hotter. What kind of fibers are you? You can't use no fibers in a plastic material. I mean, so you can't be using any polyester, no latex or those things because it increases much heat. But innovation or your differentiation strategy might be as a rust. I'm going to use hemp, or I'm going to use bamboo. That's what I mean, or I'm going to use organic cotton. I know I say organic cotton because cotton still uses a lot of chemicals in it as well. That's what I mean, so you have to have breathable materials. So each time something comes out of a problem, Jamaican people say, man, Tony and make passion. You know, in the process of telling that, we find a way to solve these problems using our own creativity and innovativeness.
In the words of Mr. Collin, the answer is out there. Seek it.
There's another. So even though the Ignite is not open just now, to get some insight as to what to do, there are 6 centers. So to apply to Ignite, you have to apply through incubator accelerators or a business development agency, right? So what you could do is you can go on the website, look for those agencies and give them a call. Tell them you're interested in grant funding and you just want to know what you need to do, how you need to structure your business to best qualify and you're asking them for guidance. That's the first step you can take to start preparing yourself. And even if Ignite does not necessarily come around for now, the information that you get should be able to assist you in preparing for other grants as well.
And in addition to what he said, just know that these options that are available to you, these places are waiting for people to apply. They literally are sitting there and people and the money is there sitting down for you. And you know, people are just not thinking outside of the box, which is why in my earlier discussion, I stressed on go seek it. As my good friend said, write down, go on the various website, the various platforms, write down the places that are offering these things and go and seek it. My good friend here, Ms. Shaw, of my very good bank, says that no is really not something that you like. I don't like no either. I look here, that's part of why I am successful. I sit down, I think about what I want. I have narrowed down where I want to go for it. I go for it, and I do not expect to hear no because of how I have positioned myself and how I want to pitch for what I want. And chances are, you'll be surprised that these same persons will help you to qualify for these things that you are seeking. They will help you to do it. So go seek it.
We have different organizations like the UCC, BDCI, and other small business development centers who that is their purpose to help you find the information, because we do understand that when we want to seek, you can't just seek by yourself. So I do encourage you to reach out to these different companies and organizations. Their main purpose is to assist you. Reach out to a Ms. Shaw at First Global. Their purpose is to help you to develop and to gain the funding that you need, that is necessary. Any further questions?
Yes. This is directed at Mr. Knife. Yeah, very sharp, Dr. Knife, very sharp. Pun intended, sir. All right. So I want you to give me something hypothetical. What would be the implications of Jamaica? Because I heard at one point in history we were the pearl of the Caribbean. Is that correct?
But globalization started with the Caribbean and Jamaica from 1492.
So, sir, how could we take on the space race? in terms of developing things that can go in outer space. Think of Jamaica as launching the first shuttle in outer space, taking on the space race challenge. What would be the implications of Jamaica taking on that in terms of history? And how could we get there?
The question is, do we need to take on the space race challenge? You know, because sometimes I'm not going to try to get myself in that era where I know I'm not going to compete because I need certain resources. And in reality, Jamaica is already in the space race, meaning that the first image I'm sent out there in space was actually Bob Marley's image. So, yeah, man, it's Bob Marley's image I'm sent out there in the space where people are saying, if we are supposed to meet in end of a life form, they're going to see Bob Marley's image singing the song One Love. That's what they have done. Yes? So, the issue is they do have a chance to compete in everything. Look at where you know of your strategic advantage, and then you move to that. Because you have to have the capital to get involved in the space age. You have to have the politics to get in the space race. It's not a sort of simple thing as how people see it, yes? But I do accept that you mustn't place any limitation on yourself. But remember, when you're doing any business, A, you know, if there's a need, but B, is it feasible? Is it financially feasible? That might be an issue, yes? It might be feasible in terms of what people would like to see, but that is a desire, yes? So if it's not feasible, don't take it on. I would not do that, you know? So that's my shortest answer. I would not be getting into a space station.
I support you, Knife. Why try to conquer outer space, right? When there is still a lot of room to conquer our inner space. In the conversation that came up earlier, we talk about unutilized assets that we're not leveraging because we're not unlocking a certain mindset that is designed to imprison us, right? Why try to seek pearls, you know, of outside there when you're sitting on acres of diamonds? We have not yet done a serious inquiry into how we unlock our mental capacity and how we really can look within and build from without. Why go outer space when we have the inner space yet to explore?
Guys who go in outer space. Because again, no, but be careful. Meaning what I mean. Let's use the example of greenhouse technology, which Jamaica has adopted, and USA spent millions of dollars creating all these greenhouses across the island where the only thing growing inside is actually grass. People in countries that don't have the amount of sunlight that we have need to create a technology that allows them to be able to plant food. So I'm coming to a greenhouse. Now, for some reason, even though we have the sun and the land and all that we need, we take on this thing. And we know that greenhouses, things that are grown, which have limited access to sunlight, can't be as good as the things that are grown in the sunlight. So actually planting and saying that this is planted in the dirt in the sunlight is a unique differentiation strategy, you know? But we're not recognizing that as a strategy because we take on and adopt other kinds of ideas. You have to recognize the value in the things that you have around you. We have the biggest global cultural footprint as a country, you know, proportionally speaking, you know. Think about the population size, think about the economic size, but then think about the impact globally. Are we exploring that? Are we exploiting that? We don't have a proper, well, we don't have word by Jaipur, but I'm saying the kind of word that is needed for Jamaica to actually exploit the integral pop that is generated from space. We are nowhere near that era. And those are multi-billion-dollar industries. That's why we are talking about the orange economy. As I say, so sometimes look at what you have around you first and use that as against trying to go for somewhere where we don't have that kind of advantage. And we have too much things in Jamaica, man. Too many things in Jamaica that we are not exploiting.
As someone said on the panel earlier, enslaved minds cannot serve free people. And so going back to what Mr. Beecher said, we have to work on, I'm not going to say colonizing, but rather gaining this sort of control over our own mental space, because I can tell you, you control the mind, you control the will. And a lot of challenges, a lot of issues that entrepreneurs face stems from this sort of mental insecurity, mental instability, and not willing to just take the extra steps and to fix how they think, and therefore how they then approach external and internal stakeholders. Thank you for your question. Do we have any more from the audience? Hi, yes, can we get a mic to this lovely young lady?
Hello, everyone. I don't remember his name, but my question is for you. So, you mentioned something about franchise, right? So that's something I have been looking into a lot. So generally, when we think about franchise, the first thing that comes to mind is like a whole lump sum of money that we probably that's probably out of our reach as beginners. But I believe that it could actually be a cheat code to establish a business while using funds from people who share common interests while you're capitalizing on it. Where do you see us small businesses reaching like globally with this idea? Because I firmly believe that. Because for me, I was thinking that I have this idea. I believe it is a good idea. But you also have with time. What if I'm not able to fund it the way I want and establish myself, and then time goes by, then somebody else gets in that? All right. So where do you see this going? Developing.
What kind of business is it?
Well, my business is some cannabis infused product.
Okay, cannabis infused product. Okay, so so you want to become a franchisor. That means you own the franchise, right? Yes. So to create a franchise, you want to create what is called a franchise business model prototype, which is the very first franchise in the franchise network. It's where you are now, your business. What you have to do is start by documenting every processes and every system in that business, so it becomes systematized. So you're not so much creating the cannabis infused product, but you're creating a system that create that product for you. So what that system is, it might be a set of processes, or you train the employees to do it. What if it's going to be baked, what kind of oven you need, what temperature it need to be at what time, it need to be at. And you're going to document everything around that, plus the support system, the marketing, the finance, and the technology that you're going to use. There's 5 elements of the business system prototype that you need to use. But it start with us creating that one business model, and you prove that it works, and then you're selling the success of that prototype to others, right? And you support them with the marketing.
Okay, so yes, I do intend to do franchise, but I also plan to establish. I want to use it as a way to establish my business, but I would also be having business for myself. So it's more of a way to get the business out there while I catch up
To it. Yeah, it's a very good distribution network, a network effects kind of model. But you have the most important point, you have to have a business model that works. And the mindset to create a franchise is kind of different from you just starting up a business that will sustain you, because you're creating a business that's a product. So you are now selling to Giovanni an opportunity to become rich in Negril by selling cannabis improved product around this. Yes. So and you have to have a very strong brand, right? So the branding is important, network effects, the business systems, the technology that underline, and you have to copyright all of that. And you have Dr. Williams that can help you with the IP with that. So it has to be copywritten so that it's protected. And you can, market it as a business opportunity, not as cannabis infused, but you're going to market it as a business opportunity to someone who wants to get rich but don't want to get rich or go into business by themselves.
Thank you so much for your question. Do we have any further ones? I actually have one before we continue. Do we have a question? We do.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Collins, I'm Admarie Phipps, and I want to start a business. I have the infrastructure, some of the equipment, but I don't have any revenue, and I don't have enough money in the bank. What do you think you could tell me to do?
The first thing you need to do is to write down exactly what you want to do. Before you approach anybody, write it down. Then, having written it down, and write it the way you know it is to be written, the way you want it to be done, and whatever resources you need, financial resources, staffing, if necessary, the structure where, you know, whether it's a physical place or somewhere that has a physical place plus other outsourced, you know, venues are not, you know, or if it's just strictly online. Whatever it is, write it down. That's the first thing. Secondly, seek advice carefully. Operative word, carefully. Ladies and gentlemen, online and in front of me, your business is not to be told to every and anybody. They will tell you all sorts of stuff and confuse you. So that's why number one is important. You write it down and you say, at this moment, right? So that when you're speaking, you select the right people who will give it more than likely, give it the right information. People like us, right? You know, it makes no sense you're going to talk to people who have failed and their failure is about this. Boy, I failed, I'm going to think you should do it. But you can talk to people who have failed, but it's the lessons that they've learned from the failure, and that's the best part of advice that you've gotten. People like us, we know what failure is because we take risks, right? Thirdly, having gotten the advice that is likely to help you build out the business that you want, act on it. And act on it decisively, fast, and without wavering. Because the part of the advice you're going to get is that what you have written, which is point one, it may be edited big time and tear up and put, but at least you've given that person who's giving the advice what is called a framework, a foundation on what it is that you want to get done. So once you've acted on it, get advice again on what you are doing to see if it is being done the way it's supposed to be done, right? Utilize the knowledge that you've gained along with information that is online and wherever to see if you can, you know, do your research and to see what it is that you're doing, if it is still feasible. Because if you find out that it's not feasible, because things that you write on paper may not necessarily be practical in life, you know. Just a good idea, not true. Unless it is successful. To make it successful, and here we're talking about conversations for greatness, which suggests what? Success. You then have to make sure that you stick to what it is. So some people will, another reason why most of those entities in the first years fail is because they have a plan and then they just dash out the plan. And I'm using Jamaican parlance deliberate. They literally throw it through the window or put in a drawer. You have to constantly look at it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And then once your business is good, for example, my good friend here who's talking about her business that she then wants to franchise, write out the steps literally every day. Every day that you've operated, the 365 days that you've operated, write down the things that went bad, the things that went good. What can you do to improve the thing, to mitigate or prevent the things that went bad? What are the things that you can do to further increase or improve on the things that went well to make them better? That's what you call writing out your strategies, your methods, your processes, and so forth. Because at the end of the day, there's only one reason why you're going business, which is what? To make money. That's the only reason. But that reason has other reasons surrounding it, to make it sustainable, which has to do with the, as we mentioned before, the ethical principles, the social principles, making sure that you're dealing with the people outside, which is the corporate responsibility, you know, and so forth. Your customers, meeting your clients' needs, tweaking your products, innovating. If their customers giving you feedback to say, I like this product, can you also do that? You listen to them and you do it. That's where you're going to be increasing your ability to earn and for your business to be a going concern, meaning it's sustainable. Those are my advice to you. I mean, I could be going on and on, but hey, we can talk afterwards about that. Thank you. So, my very good friend here as a follow-up, and then we get to the next question.
All right. You had said that you have equipment.
Yeah, it's a computer, it's a multitask.
It's
Educational.
Sorry, could you repeat that? What is it?
Multitask. Computer lab and daycare.
So
multiple things in one, eh?
So you say you have the equipment, so you have the computers.
Computers, 18. It want to reboot, but I don't have the Wi-Fi. It's gone.
Okay.
I have only one bed and one crib.
Oh, so it's like a cafe, a computer cafe with a daycare center.
Yeah.
All right. Have you reached out to the early childhood institution?
Yes, I go there and they tell me that I must go to company office. I do look at all of those.
Oh, that's for
I need
registration.
to go back to early childhood now.
Okay, that's for the registration side though.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the size capital you need to get the business started?
How much money you need?
About say, me that just start say about 300.
Okay.
Me not
You're right.
do the budgeting part yet. Me just see that go up and down.
And that's where you get the help now, and then you will just take it from there.
All right. So there are two things I wanted to just share with you. So the point about writing down, having an idea of the budget is important. But sometimes there's a cost sharing way that some people go into business. So for some people, if you're manufacturing a product and you don't necessarily have enough money to get the product to the customer, you actually get the customer to prepay.
Okay.
Right? So you get them to prepay, right? And when you get in a certain amount of prepaid orders, you now have the money to produce the good and then deliver it to them.
Okay.
So that's one option that you have. And given that you have the equipment already, you could see if you could work out something like that with you. Right. Second thing is, as grants, right? JC, right. So those are some options that you can try.
All right. So
thank you.
we have one last question from the audience. Can we see where the mic is going?
All right. I love your feedback, guys, and I'm glad that I can be able to be, getting some information from you guys. You guys are inspiration. What is being done to prepare Jamaicans for the next 5 to 10 years in respect to artificial intelligence? There'll be a mass displacement of some jobs, right? We're talking jobs where you do like menial tasks, like you can be replaced by automation. What is being done in terms of the framework and the policies to help prepare our Jamaicans that we're not displaced too much? And there's not a lot of running up and down, as we would say, when that happens.
All right. As just about policies, as in reality, MSME policy, that's what they have really emphasize this thing about digital literacy. And you're right, my concern, because along with digital literacy, the concern about digital poverty. Because from the technology might be there, but people can't afford it, you know? And there are certain underlying things that have to be done that which have not been addressed. So for example, if you are talking about AI and digitization in space, you don't have proper electricity. When light gone, they crash. Yeah, that's what I mean. But you have something is being done now because they're thinking about it now. And that is because everything starts from thought, you know? But those things have to be addressed concurrently. So we have a people the mindset, but we have the infrastructure to deal with it. But things are being done, and I'm going to tell you, it's when you vision reason now, when you say you go to some of these people's sites, you'll see the amount of information that is out there that are raising these things, but people just don't know either. For example, your sister, I asked about $300,000, and I know the JSF give people $300,000, literally give them and give them all the equipment. You understand what I say? But people just don't know. When we talk about how we access the funding, so I might in fashion, I might probably say, all right, I'm going to a biggie program to get the funds. But at the same time, I says a virgin idea who's a youth amongst him, but there are so many programs that are providing financing for youth in entrepreneurship. So when I'm going to talk about biggie for the innovation grant, and I'm going to look for a grant that says I'm going to support youths or in entrepreneurship. In that case, I might look for a grant that's supporting gender mainstreaming. How do we mainstream women in enterprises? So we'll find that the search is literally have to use search words. So there are certain keywords. You know, if I'm making my clothes and I'm saying I'm using breathable material, I'm going to apply it to a place that deals with climate change, adaptation, and mitigation. I know it's clothes you're making, but I'm looking at the climate change, adaptation, and mitigation. And so it's a very innovative way because we're speaking about improving health and safety of persons as it relates to climate change. So you want to build because my clothes is good for man who have diabetes. Because it is made up of linen, it is breathable, but the frequency of linen is also one that is so high that it also help in the healing process. It's one thing they talk about them small things. And the persons who knows and say, yes, this makes sense, but this fashion I still dealing with. But my pitch is on the climate change mitigation, or my pitch is about youth in entrepreneurship, or it's about gender mainstreaming. Yes?
All right.
Let's close off on the AI thing. So the AI revolution is quite interesting, right? Because we already know that we're in a state of a digital divide in terms of the expertise around the use of technology and the adaptation of the technology. What AI is doing, it is even further consolidating the expertise around deep tech, right? So what you have now, a number of the persons, prof, in this university that might be doing IT might not need to do coding because the AI actually does the code for you. I can create for you an app in 30 minutes using no codes. Right? So I'm not knowing how to code. It does need intelligent application. So where the shift needs to happen locally, if we're not going to invest in deep machine learning and language learning models, is to educate persons how to use AI as a tool. And that's another adaptation strategy. Yeah.
Thankfully, we offer the degree here. You can get a bachelor's in artificial intelligence.
Perfect. So that's where, so we're not government up here, but we can advise and advocate to the government and show examples with your curriculum as to how you actually now kind of shift the population towards using technology as a tool and as an advanced tool, and then now allow us to invest in our human intelligence so that we can actually be the masters and not the slave. All right? Respect.
Okay. And so thank you all so much. We do have to wrap up. Time has been over, but well spent. Ladies and gentlemen of the panel, thank you so much on behalf of the University of Commonwealth Caribbean, the Business Development and Consulting Institute here, our various technical teams, the marketing department, for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and to speak to our entrepreneurs from a very authentic, from a very real point of view. I know that many people, including myself, has learned so much, and we come with tokens because we do believe in the rewarding. So